At this point, I want to show you one of the most famous visualizations of all time. It's called Minard's map. It was created by this guy, Minard. And it's a way of visualizing Napoleon's ill-fated attempt at invading Russia. What makes this visualization so amazing and magical is the sheer amount of information that's packed into one image. And as you'll see, this diagram he created shows a way to depict in one picture 5 different kinds of quantities. All right, let's take a look at the map, and I'll talk you through it. First of all, this is a map. It shows the march of Napoleon's army on Moscow. So it's a map, so it's got locations. So you can see starting from the left is where the army started, and it marched on Moscow to the right. So that's one thing you can see in this. Another thing you can see, it's a little hard to read, but on the bottom there are dates. So that shows you the time at the date at which the army reached each of these different locations, each of the major cities. It also shows you the size of the army. See, one of the things about this campaign was that it was a march on Russia in winter, and Russia is notoriously cold in winter. And what was happening was that the soldiers were so cold they were dropping like flies. And you can see in this visualization, the width of the line indicates the size of Napoleon's army at that location. So you can see the line is getting narrower and narrower as we move from left to right. And that's because soldiers are dying off due to the cold as they march on Moscow. In fact, they're dying off so rapidly that by the time they reach Moscow, most of the army is already dead, felled not by Russian soldiers, but by the weather. They have so little of the army surviving at that point that they turn around and head back for home. So let's take a look at the data that's underlying Minard's map. We can put that in a table. This is a nice example of the different data types we've seen so far. You can see multiple columns here. For instance, the location is indicated by longitude and latitude, and those columns are floats. They have a decimal number. The number of survivors is the last column, and that's an int. You can't have half a soldier, so those are all whole numbers. You can see the march started out with 145,000 soldiers, and by the time they made it back home, only 12,000 of them had survived. So absolute tragedy for the French army. And then the other columns are strings, they're text. So in the next video, I'll show you loading this into Python and doing some computation on it. Now you've seen Minard's map, one of the most famous visualizations of all time.